very warm welcome to all the listeners, and I welcome you to the biology class. Today's topic is the human reproduction, one of the finest topics here in our NCERT book. Now, when we look at the aspects of human reproduction in itself, it is a highly dynamic topic, and the topic not only just is dynamic but also lots and lots of intricacies are discussed. If we look at NCERT also, there are so many nuances that are being discussed of the structures of the process in itself. So just looking at the general introduction of the topic. So we humans, though we people are diploid organisms, but when it comes to the formation of gametes, the process in itself is very unique and it takes place in a highly regulated environment, or in my words I call it a microenvironment. So we humans, we reproduce sexually, and we have lots of parental care in our behavior, right? The process of formation of gametes is called gametogenesis. Of course, there are other processes also that are included, just as insemination, fertilization, implantation, gestation, and finally parturition, that is the birth of the child, or in other words, we must say the birth of the neonate. Right? So what we also understand is that both the male and the female reproductive system, right from early embryonic stages, they develop in altogether a different perspective. So the male reproductive system consists of the major organ that is involved in the process of formation of the sperm, that is the testis. It is also accompanied by certain structures and also accessory glands and ducts. So the accessory glands are the seminal vesicles, which of course are paired, and the prostate gland, which seems to be multiple lobed, but technically it is only a one unified gland, and the pair of Cowper's or the bulbourethral glands. The male accessory ducts also include ducts like rete testis, vasa efferentia, epididymis, and vas deferens. So, during the gestation period, though the testis develops within the abdominal region of the male fetus, but sooner it has to descend. Now, for its own descent, it requires spermatic cord. The spermatic cord helps in this entire journey of transporting the testis from the abdominal region to a pouch located outside the body of the male fetus. This pouch is known as scrotal sac. This scrotal sac has an exceptional physiology when it comes to the inlay of the muscles that are present within it. Now these muscles, the dartos and the cremaster muscle, they play an extraordinary role in regulating the internal temperature of this region. So scrotal sac primarily works as a compartment wherein exclusive microenvironment is created for the production of sperms through a process that is known as spermatogenesis. So the testis also has outer coverings, and primarily we look within the testis. The testis is covered with the help of several layers, not only as a dense covering, but internally also segmentation within the testis is present. So within these compartments that are the testicular lobules that are present within the testis, these testicular lobules in itself is like an engineering marvel, which not only contains the male germ cells but also contains certain other cells. Now in between one testicular lobule to the other testicular lobules, there are also Leydig cells or the interstitial cells that are also present. Now here are certain original pictures which I have shared in my slide. We can also see that what exactly the staining looks like when we look at the internal structures. So here in the slide you can find Leydig cells, the Sertoli cells, and also you can find spermatogonia and the formation by the time spermatids are created. Now, not only the job of forming of the sperm is an exclusive one, also its transportation is equally an important step. So the transportation needs to be done, but there is only a single pathway, and the pathway is through urethra. The accessory ducts, be it the seminal vesicles or be it the bulbourethral glands, they play an important role by adding semen, creation of the semen, and adding this fluid wherein the sperm can swim, and also it can neutralize the acidity present within the female genital tract. So that also is an important thing. Also, the diagram that is being shown here as a cross section of the human penile region, that in itself is important because specific kind of spongy tissues are present, and these spongy tissues kind of, the blood is filled within them, that causes the erection of the penis. So there are a lot of physiological, then anatomical, also hormonal role that plays into the entire process of human reproduction. So spermatogenesis, as we understand, again is a unique process, and also that gives rise to process of sperm formation. In the end, we can also go through certain questions which are important. What's the role of FSH and what is the role of LH? Because we need to understand there are significant differences in the role of LH and FSH in males and females, right? So beautifully I have shown with the help of a small diagram over here that FSH impacts primarily the Sertoli cells, and spermatogenesis is the main process on which it has its own impact, whereas LH has its impact on Leydig cells, and the Leydig cells would produce androgens, and the major androgen over here is testosterone, right? So we need to understand that what should be the structure of the sperm like, and what should be the functionality or the motility of the sperm like, because we must understand the difference between somebody who is sterile or somebody who is infertile, because the gross physiology, the gross structure of the sperm plays a major role over here. Now moving on to the female reproductive system, we need to understand that the female reproductive system again consists of a major organ. They are the ovaries, where the production of egg will take place, and also it is going to play a major role in production of certain hormones. Now ovaries in itself can work like a temporary endocrine seat. So in this topic we'll see that is it the entire ovary that is working like an endocrine seat, or maybe there are certain other structures that are formed within the ovary. They are going to work like a temporary endocrine seat. Also, fallopian tube, a very important passage, a very important site, and this is the place where fertilization will occur whenever it is supposed to. And also the uterus or the womb, which has a unique kind of environment for the development of the fetus, right? So moving forward, so ovaries, the primary female, the organ which in itself has a lot of local hormones that are also present, and a massive research that keeps on happening about the ovaries, right? So within ovaries also, every month certain follicles are being created. Now the process of follicle in itself is also very interesting, because every follicle development happens in a lot of phases. It doesn't happen in just a single step. So there are certain local factors that are responsible for creation of multiple follicles at once. So this may really intrigue you, surprise you, because many people are not aware. They think that every month only a single egg is getting matured, so therefore there is only a single follicle. So no, this is not correct. Multiple follicles, initially they start, but maybe during the entire process, the ovary chooses only a single follicle. Now, what is a follicle? Follicle is a bag. It is a sac. Within this sac, egg is present. So, we need to understand the two processes are happening at once. So, the follicle is also getting matured. Within the follicle, within this sac, within this bag, the egg is also present. Now, even there are changes that are happening within it also. So, you can see in the slide, there is a diagram of the mature follicle that is being shown. Of course, the follicle has traveled a long journey. So, initially, the follicle doesn't have so many number of cells. The theca layers are not so prominent, they are not developed, they develop over a period of time. And also the antrum, the fluid filled cavity, that also is developed gradually, right? So moving on to our next slide, we can also see the real image of an egg, right? I have also tried to show the movement of sperms, how they are traversing through the fallopian tube. And this entire process, that in itself is also a process of chemoattraction. A lot of hormonal changes are also taking place. A lot of local factors are also playing an important role. Finally, only a single sperm is going to take entry within the egg, right? And the best suited site is the fallopian tube, right? Specifically the ampulla part. Now, at the end, it is time to go through certain other questions. So, there are certain questions like the last part of the oviduct is called what? So, these are certain questions which are also important from both perspective, that we must know that which part of fallopian tube has fimbriae, which is the narrowest part, which is the widest part. Look at the other question. The opening of the vagina is often covered partially by a membrane called. So these are 4 options given over here. And in our society, there are a lot of taboos regarding this. So ovulation regulated by which hormone? And Sertoli cells present in. There are multiple options given. Of course, once you have read the chapter, once you have gone through all the discussion, it is easy for you to find out. The cavity of blastula is. Right? So what exactly a cavity called? And when we are using the term seal, what does the seal word means? The cell which synthesize and secrete testicular hormones called androgens are. So we must know what are androgens, right? Also, there is a small segment of a diagram that I've shared in this slide. Now, this diagram is also important from the exam point of view. So I hope it was a very brief insight into a +2 topic. And I hope that you loved this topic. And thank you so very much. We appreciate your time that you have devoted to us. Thank you.